Shalom, 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 family. It's your brother, Priest Daniela, Lions of Israel, Maccabees Alliance Council, Nation of Israel in general. You know, we all about nationhood. We all about the family. Here with another video for y'all. Just impromptu, live stream. I tried to do a live stream today. I wasn't able to do it, so I said, you know what? I'm going to record this because I figure that this is information that brothers and sisters may or may not be aware of. But I want everybody that subscribes to this channel to have access to this video. Before I get into the topic or the main reason why I'm doing this video, I want to show the family something. We have a bunch of new channels that are affiliated with Maccabees TV I want to let y'all know about. Y'all already know about the Sisters of the Maccabees channel. I appreciate everybody that has subscribed to the new channel. We constantly are under attack as far as where the Israelite sisters are. So we have a channel now where you have different sisters coming forward and speaking about subjects that affect us all. You're talking about health and wellness and the wellness of our children and so forth and so on, all on this channel. Make sure you subscribe to Sisters of the Maccabees. Hit the subscribe button. More importantly, hit that bell that gives you a notification every time a video is uploaded on this channel or any channel you're interested in. When you subscribe, also hit the bell. It gives you a notification every time that they upload a video or they go live. In addition, as you've seen over the last 2 weeks, I've uploaded a lot of videos dealing with historical information, mainly ancient historical information, because there's a lot of attacks on us saying that we cannot prove historically that we are the Israelites according to the Bible. You have the so-called conscious community attacking us. You have the so-called Christian apologists attacking us. So brothers now are putting out information with primary sources that are available to all of us, that we can watch these videos and write down and research to prove what we already knew, that we are the Israelites according to the Bible. But as Israelites, we all know that we deal with prophecy and current events. And that aspect has not been covered on Maccabees TV the way that it should. With that being said, I introduced a new channel that we have called Maccabees TV News. Now, I've heard brothers and sisters saying that they don't see this. They can't find the link. If you are on an Android, you have to come to the desktop version of YouTube. You cannot use the YouTube app. Come to the desktop version of YouTube. Go to Maccabees TV. On the right-hand side of your screen, you'll see featured channels. Just subscribe to Maccabees TV News. We also have Maccabees TV, which you're watching this video on now. We also have Maccabees TV Music. If you're looking for a one-stop shop for Israelite videos that uplift, that teach, that inspire, we have Maccabees TV Music. All these can be accessed on the desktop version of YouTube, whether you're doing it on your laptop or your phone. Through the app, it may be difficult to find this page, but make sure you subscribe to the whole catalog of Maccabees TV, because nowadays they say that people watch YouTube more than they watch TV. So stay informed. We need to talk about prophecy and current events. We're going to do that on Maccabees TV News. All right. So with that being said, let's talk about the reason why we're here. Now, I'm going to play y'all a video, and I want y'all to check this out and really pay attention to what's going on. I spoke about this at camp for the last 2 weeks. When we go out and do our street speakings, I'm talking about Lions of Israel. When we go out and do our street speakings, I've been talking about this, and I told brothers in my camp that I'm actually going to do a video on this so they could actually see it for themselves. There's a new thing that's going on in Asia that very well has a chance to come to the Western Hemisphere. And what is that thing? They have something called your social credit score. And what that is that they're going to be monitoring what you do on social media. And that's going to play a big role on your credit. It's not going to matter no more how much money you have in the bank. But what it is going to matter is how compliant you are with America, how compliant you are with following the rules of this society. and not speaking against it. It's already going on in China, and there's a good chance that this technology might come to America. Check it out.
The Chinese government has created a new social engineering scheme called Sesame Credit, which looks and acts like a game, but its true purpose is to garner obedience to the state. The system rates Chinese citizens on how closely they adhere to the party line. It pulls data from the internet, social media, online purchases, and search histories. So if a Chinese person posts about the recent stock market crash, their Sesame Credit goes down. If they share a link from a state-sponsored media outlet that pushes propaganda, well, the Sesame Credit goes up. So if you make online purchases that the Chinese government favors, your score is going to go up. And likewise, if you buy imports from places like Japan, the score goes down.
Let's stop for a second. Brothers and sisters, if you are on YouTube or Facebook or whatever, you may have noticed that a lot of the ads that show on your page are pretty much things that you're interested in anyway, or websites you may have visited before. And you've always wondered why it is that these ads are showing on your YouTube or your Facebook. There's such a thing called internet profiling. And there are certain algorithms that are set up that follow different websites that you visit. And you will see those ads on YouTube and on Facebook based on websites and your interest. And you've always wondered why is that? Well, in China, they've actually factored those things into one's credit score. In America, if you have a bad credit score, you may not be able to buy a house. You may not be able to get a loan. You may not be able to buy a car. And in some instances nowadays, you can't even get a job if you have bad credit. Well, if they were to tie your internet searches and what you type in on social media into your credit score, a lot of us will be messed up in a society. They're already experimenting with this in China. How hard do you think it will be to bring this to America? That's why I'm doing this video. Let's watch.
So critics fear the implications of such an app, and it's easy to see why. Besides the obvious tyranny of it all, those with higher scores are going to find life easier. If someone has to deal with Chinese bureaucracy for travel documents or getting a loan, a higher score is going to ease the process. And life for those with lower scores is likely to become harder. Being penalized through slower internet speeds and fewer job opportunities are just some of the rumors that are floating around.
So you're going to have a slower internet speed in China if your social credit score is low. In other words, if they don't like what you're buying, if they don't like the websites that you're visiting, if they don't like what you say about the government, you might have slower internet speeds, and you most certainly will not be able to borrow money from certain financial institutions. How long do you think before something like this comes to America? Oh, y'all thought Facebook was just for fun? You thought YouTube was just for fun? No. These things have been created to control you. You thought somebody was going to kick your door down and come in and tell you you have to comply with the government and we're going to watch everything you're doing? No. Social media makes you tell on yourself. That's why you get up in the morning and talked about you had pancakes in the morning and you had a hot dog for lunch. Okay? And you had whatever pasta for dinner. You're telling on yourself through social media to get likes. That's why this stuff was created. And if the government doesn't like what it is you do, your social credit score could go down. This is already going on in Asia. How long do you think before this comes to America?
So right now the game is optional, but it's going to become mandatory by 2020. But in the meantime, many Chinese citizens have taken this new app very seriously, and they're posting their scores online and competing with one another.
So you got people in China that are actually sheeple. They've taken this new technology and now they're competing with each other to see who can be the most compliant with the Chinese government in order to have the highest social credit score. I'm going to tell y'all something. There's certain dating websites. Like in America, you have dating websites like Plenty of Fish and Black People Meet and all of this other crap that you have out here. Well, in China, you have dating websites too. And you have Chinese people that are looking at each other's social credit scores. And if you're not a robot for the Chinese government, if you don't have a high score, you're not considered a catch. That's what's going on. Y'all think that's not going to come to America? I'm not prophesying saying it is, but it's good to know that this is out there. Let's continue.
And this, of course, is exactly what the Chinese government wants. They want people competing with each other over who is more obedient to the state. So by turning this into a game, a social app, the Chinese government is proving that the internet can and is being used for very sinister purposes. So the question is, how long is it going to take for Western nations to adopt this system?
And that's the question. What if America were to adopt this? Us as Israelites. You make a post against homosexuality, your social credit score goes down. You say the things that the Bible says, let's just put it to its lowest common denominator. You say the things the Bible says, your social credit score might go down. That's where we're heading. That's what's going on. Okay? It's good to know these things are out there. While we, as Israelites, are being what I call argue-lights, we want to argue with each other over doctrine on Facebook and YouTube. And I'm not saying that there's not a place for that. But while we're doing this, there's a real world that's going on around us. And that real world is all about our destruction. And who the heck do you think this technology is going to affect the most when we're talking about social credit scores? It's going to affect us. Let's continue.
Well, nearly every country in the world has some form of credit system that uses private information to determine just how risky a person is. Typically, it's for credit cards and mortgages. You know, if a person has a bad history of not paying back their debts, then it's obviously harder for them to get a loan. Now, in a free society, one that's not dominated by big banks and fiat currency, this system works. But since we're not living in a free society, the credit rating system of the West is vulnerable to the kind of omnipotent power that the Chinese government is engaging in. By 2020, China plans on having a giant database of every citizen, along with all the information necessary to make this scheme work.
And I want to say this, America is doing the same thing. Y'all might not think so, but I just told you. When you search certain sites, especially on your laptop, when you go on certain sites of things that you're interested in, go to YouTube and see what ads YouTube is showing you. Go to certain websites, your search engine, like Yahoo and stuff like that, and see what ads they're recommending for you, and see if they're not the ads of things that you're interested in. That's called internet profiling. They're already profiling us, and it's only going to get worse. So this is definitely a possibility. Only a possibility, but it's definitely a possibility. This is where technology is taking us. This is a glimpse into the future. All right? Let's continue.
And if successful, we can expect a similar implementation here in the West.
Imagine if you had this in the West, where you had certain things that you couldn't say because it would affect your credit score. Imagine that. Then what you going to do, Israel? Because the time is going to come where the Most High is going to test you to see who's faithful and who's not. If speaking against wickedness and evil will affect your credit score, which may affect you being able to buy a house, which may affect you being able to get a bank account, which may affect you being able to buy a car, which may affect you being able to get a job. How many of us are going to be faithful in that day? That's just a question. I just want to throw that out there. Let's go.
With cultural Marxism fully in place, a social credit system would be just what the doctor ordered. In this decadent Western culture, the ego is celebrated. Doxing people you disagree with is the modern-day witch hunt.
That's true. People you disagree with now is the modern day witch hunt. That's crazy. Let's watch another video really quickly. We're gonna end this. This ain't gonna be long. Let's go.
What if you had a credit score that didn't just count the money you use, the money you owe, or the money you save? What if you had a credit score that measured the kind of citizen you are? This week, we are exploring a very strange concept, a social credit score. It's called Sesame Credit. You have heard of this possibly in the news. It goes back a few years. It's still in sort of a pilot program. Sesame Credit is being created by the Chinese government via what's called the Ant Financial Services Group. Ant Financial Services Group is affiliated with Alibaba, which is sort of, think of it like a China-based Amazon, but much more successful. As of April 2016, Alibaba became the world's largest retailer. So Alibaba and Ant Financial are also affiliated with this thing called Alipay, A-L-I Pay. Alipay, this is a little bit dry, but it's important, is in charge of financial transactions. And it's a third-party platform that allows transactions to occur without a transaction fee. And they're working with the big boys. They've got MasterCard, Visa, what have you. This market that Alipay controls would be about a little less than half of all the online payment markets in China. That may not sound like a big deal, but let's consider that in 2015, China had a population of around 1.3 billion people. And of those people who have any kind of financial business online, almost half of them are going through this one place. And this one place is giving financial data to this one thing called Sesame Credit. And Sesame Credit, then, with all of this data, it aggregates it and it gives people a certain score. We've heard conflicting information about how it pulls this in and what exactly its algorithm is. If you're watching this within a few years of this video coming out, Sesame Credit is currently an opt-in system. But there are concerns. Its opponents allege that the official statements about Sesame Credit, both from the spokespeople, from government officials, and what have you, are not entirely honest, that they're disingenuous. Because the question becomes not just a question of measuring financial information and then assigning a score based on that, which is, a credit score is ultimately the likelihood that a person will pay off a loan or make good on a debt. But this system, according to a statement from representatives of the company, also looks at the type of things you buy. And they're a little bit murky about how detailed this investigation or analysis is.
So I'm not going to make this video very long, like I said. Just something to think about. Now, you brothers and sisters, you have homework. Go and research this system that's being implemented in China and ask yourself, can it come here? We live in a day and time where already before the system is even implemented, we have a guy like Colin Kaepernick in the NFL. And you have all these players that are afraid to come out and speak up on his behalf and support the brother. They're scared to say something. They're making him an example that if you stand up against the system and speak, you could lose everything you have. We see the sister Jamel Hill from ESPN. She stood up and spoke on behalf of Kaepernick and also calling Donald Trump what he is. And now her job is in jeopardy. So we live in a system where speaking up is frowned upon before the system comes in. What do you think is going to happen if the system comes in? Just something to think about, Israel. Do your homework, do your research. That's all I'm going to say. With that, Maccabees TV. Make sure y'all like this video. Make sure you subscribe.